Hey, welcome back to Left 4 Dead Garage. Piddling with Pinky. I figured since the fender's still off and everything was out of the way, might need to address this power steering plumbing situation, which I guess the lines being missing was a blessing in disguise, and let me show you why. More than one way, or more than one disaster, I've discovered more than one disaster here. Disaster one, this pump pulley and pump had no keyway in it, so it was just a nut holding the pump on there, which that'll never work. Thankfully I had this antique Woodruff key set that we got one that's close enough. The next problem was this this great fitment here, which this is a standard bolt. Those are metric holes, so that would have never tightened up and stayed tight. So that was one other problem. So thankfully I got a selection of metric hardware we can put back in here, and this being a thinner bolt, I may have some more room to fit between the pump, or between the back of the pulley and this bracket. You can see where it really needed a washer, and it was digging down in there. So no keyway in the wrong hardware. Yeah, that was probably a disaster waiting to happen. So I got dumb lucky. I happen to have a AN fitting that'll fit this pump, and then the rack has already got 6 AN fittings in that. So there's a chance I may have everything here to plumb that and get that done today, so that would be great. I figured I better share that situation there, just so the owner would know. I'm gonna get this thing semi-bolted back together, and we'll mount it on there and see if we can get a little plumbing done. All right, quick and dirty update. Let's see. Battery box is where it's supposed to be. Got the fuse covers put where they're supposed to be. I changed all the bolts in the battery box because they were entirely too long, and they were coming through the firewall, and they would hit the HVAC stuff. So I shortened those up by 1/2 inch. It's all stainless now. Test fit this belt. It fits. This belt is ordered. That thing was nearly 60 bucks. CVF. It's only CVF, and that's who makes these pulleys. Actually, I got to run one back today, send this one back on Amazon. 34 inches would have worked, but this one is 34 inches inside, I think is what it came out to, and I need 34 inches outside. Either way, the belt from CVF is like 34 7/8 or something like that. Summit, I don't know if Summit had it. Jeg showed it and Amazon showed it. Both were sold by CVF, and it says special order only for that. So it won't be here till Monday. Today's Friday, so I'll get that put on. Power steering is plumbed, other than putting a clamp on this return, which that ain't a big deal. I have to change the connector here because the original sending unit didn't work. So when I ordered that one, it came with a stud. I still have to put the heater hoses on. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that hole in that firewall over there. I don't know. I don't have any material, and I don't really have time to go running around town to try to get somebody to make me something, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Still have to get the fitting for the intake manifold. For the heater hose, that has to be a 45 just because stuff's in the way. Got the horns mounted. Cut the pan out for this petcock, so that way you could get in there and get to that. The gauges are mounted. The dimmer switch is mounted. I'm working on trans tunnel now. I went ahead and pulled off. That wasn't sound deadener. That was roof and window flashing. I don't think I'd ever even noticed that it said that, but flashing is not a sound deadener. It's like a bridge the gap. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says window flashing. So pulled all that off, and I'm going to work on this thing a little bit. It's pretty banged up. I'm going to try to just reposition this little patch here. It looks like there's enough to try to square it up. I'm going to put riv nuts in the floor, and I believe I'm going to put several pop rivets in this, where why the need to cut that tunnel like that, I don't know, but because it's nowhere near it. But I'm going to try to secure this a little better, considering they only had 2 screws left in it. And probably have to put some big fender washers on this because it's pretty beat up. I wish I had another one, but I do not, so this is what we got. So that's kind of where I'm at. Well, that's exactly where I'm at. Trying to get this list knocked out. See you when I get a little further along here.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Product, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All right, I got this trans tunnel, excuse me, pretty well sorted out here. Got this patch put on. I just hammered the old one flat and got me a kind of a measurement. There was no, like, it was just small enough to just not really work. So I cut me out another one. All I did was tack it. I'll seam seal it from the bottom. I've got some beige seam sealer, so we'll just seam seal it right there. Call it good. I got the punch tool out, and I just punched this thing and just spot welded it across. It's actually pretty rigid now. I'm gonna put some sound deadening on this thing, lay it back in there, poke my holes for the bolts, and then we'll bolt it down. I put 1/4 those thread inserts, riv nuts in there. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm gonna get some sound deadening on this. We'll bolt this down and call that done. Move on to something else. All right, I've not videoed much. The clip just before this was January 31st, and it is now, oh, it's Valentine's Day. And you know what that means? I've bought no card, no nothing. I should probably quit videoing and go do that, but we're already here, so we'll just ask for forgiveness later. So we're working on power steering, got all that sorted out. Finally got the correct belts, 8 rib. This is all done, throttle cable's on. I might have covered this in this other clip, but we'll just keep on keeping on. I still need to remember to paint this shaft before I put this fender on, because that looks kind of, well, that's gonna rust. There ain't no 2 ways about it. Shot a little paint on this frame here. Got the power steering pump full. So far it's not leaked out into the floor. That's a good thing. The clutch is still full. It has brake pedal. It's not the greatest brake pedal, but I think I still got a little improvement to be made by adjusting the rears up. I did adjust them up while it's sitting on the wheels and tires, but that's not a good idea because you can go too tight. But it does have brake pedal. It's still a little more spongy than I'd like it to be, but we'll work on that. Got clutch. Got throttle. Let's see, I don't have the battery in it. That's done. These are in, all hooked up. I sort of slightly set the toe with the tape measure, but I will officially set it when I get it on the ground. You could probably do it on these stands, but it would be easier for me if I had it on the ground. I would roll it back and forth, and I'll do the string method. I may or may not show that. I think I have an Impala video with me doing a string alignment, dirt track alignment. What else? Heater box. I'm pretty sure in the last video I said I had it installed. Well, I've uninstalled it 14 times. It is now, hopefully, officially back in there where it's supposed to be. None of the installing has changed. I just could not get in here to fix this stuff. Let's see. Somewhere around here, there's I'm not knocking the method, but it was a plastic elbow and making the 90 and all that. And I found these 3/4 inch molded heater hoses. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says AC Delco. They had a long tail on them. So I just cut them down, which worked out perfect. Now going through the firewall, I did not take any pictures or show anything of what I used, but I'll just throw a picture up here. It's a stainless 5/8. It's a stainless 5/8 bulkhead, so I can probably, you can kind of see them right there. And then that plate, that was, oh, here's the normal plastic 90. Then I had to come up with this plate here with whatever I had laying around. And that's a piece of aluminum. And when the hole was cut, it was cut way up into this radius and this seam right in here. So I had to extend the plate up further than I wanted to. But it's got stainless screws and all holding it in. And then I got these heater hose separators, which kind of, you know, nifty it up. And then I'm going to come through the firewall back here where you can't see for my HVAC power and the controls to the heater valve. So I'm just going to come in along the back side here and jump over to the bottom of the heater hose, or hopefully where you can't see it. And then the plug is somewhere. Anyway, and we'll plug her up. I'm gonna try to hide it as best I can. Another little doodad that I ran into, a little problem that would have been a real problem in the first rain or the first wash, especially with carpet, as I'm laying under here looking at all this, and then that's my relay bar, whatever, that little piece of 1-inch flat aluminum. I'm gonna hang my relays off that for the HVAC, and then I put 2 wire loom tabs up there. But as I was laying under here looking, I realized that that is the drain to this cow vent, and the drain hole outside the firewall has been shaved. So that would have been a good leak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here and probably trim this off just a little. And I've got a 90-degree molded silicone hose. That's 5/8 is what that measures. It's kind of big. And we'll come off of it in a 90 and come down here. Try to drop it down behind this heater box. And then probably come in this area right here. Put another hole in the firewall, which I don't want to do, but we got to get that water out somehow. And then this thing's actually bigger than I thought, but it is pipe tapped on the inside. So it's another bulkhead, but it's pipe tapped in on the inside. And I'm gonna put that in the firewall, and we can tie into this with a fitting. And then I don't think I'll even put a fitting on the outside. It's gonna be hid under the battery box. So it'll just drip out when and if water gets in there. But got to get the water out, because if you don't, you'll have wet socks. So I think that is basically everything called up. I don't believe there's anything else crazy going on. That plate, I made that thing 4 times. I could not make myself happy with that, and I'm still not thrilled with that one. I realized that I need more tools for sheet metal work and things like that, like a shear versus my crooked cutting bandsaw, which that thing does its job, but you gotta have a little stagger in you to make a long cut in it, because it will not cut straight. I believe that's about it. I'm gonna try to finish up. I need to get under there and finish up the wiring to the back, to the taillights. It's ran that way. I've got everything plumbed. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me get a light. But I've got everything loomed, not plumbed, and ran all the way to the end of the wire. I got the brake light switch, the new brake light switch. It is installed. You can't really tell it, but if you see that little silver screw right there, that's the top of it. Speedometer cable is in. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I got my harness ran down right through here, and it also goes along the I'll just show you. It goes along the trans tunnel down through the trans tunnel right there, and then I'm gonna try to reshape this little tab right here, and we'll just reuse it. Something like that. It comes down, and we go on out that way. I don't know if you can see anything because it's dark, but yep, that's where I'm at. That Monza Speedo cable fits a blue million other things, so that worked out pretty good. I believe that's got my clutch line and a little rubber insulated holder. There's a big, I added a big chassis to engine ground right there, and I'm going to add a couple more grounds like body, chassis, radiator support, all that, just to make sure there's no ground problems, because that can make you chase your tail. So with that being said, I'm going to get busy here. Today I'm going to finish up the HVAC box and the wire into the back for sure, and I believe it's time to put the fender back on and start focusing on stuff like that, and actually mounting the radiator support to the chassis, because it was just sitting there. That's the one for the driver's side. Yeah, I actually accidentally just knocked it out, and then it goes right here, and then there's another hole over there. I think that pretty much catches us up. So I'm gonna get to wiring, and I'll get back to you. All right, little update from yesterday. The entire HVAC system is installed, where it's at, wired, and fully functions, minus the AC part, which I don't have any of those components. So let me show you what we got here. So I don't have this duct installed right now because if you'll look right there, I've got the elbow on the drain, and I've got some parts to adapt from that to a 5/16 line, and then I'm going to put the drain right here somewhere. Got my heater valve controls. I'm going to add another little wired doohickey here, but I got my heater control valve coming through there, or my wires to the control valve coming through there. Let's see, that's low, medium, high. All this stuff works. Got defrost up here. These are kind of a waste unless there's caps that you can get for those, or maybe like some like little turn downs, that way you can turn it down. And then this right here would be a good little area to try to maybe plumb one or two of these straight over to this, and that way you could have heat coming out of that. So I mean, I guess I could look on Vintage Air's website and see what kind of doohickeys they have. Maybe we can come up with something, but all that works, so good to go there. I'm waiting on the rest so I can do my cowl vent plumbing. But next big thing I'm jumping into, and that's emergency brake. So let me show you what we got. Okay, so I did find a cheaper option, not by much. And if you kind of started weighing the known history of this other company, which was called American Shifter, but it was all made in China, which makes a lot of sense. So it really wasn't that much cheaper by the time you bought the e-brake handle, the boot, and the cable kit. And I think it came out to roughly $500. I went Lokar, and I know Lokar's a little bit more. It's roughly around $600, but this stuff is made in USA, and everything Lokar makes is pretty nice. So I went that route, and knowing if I had a problem with it, I got it from Summit. I could send it right back to Summit, no problem. I've had, no issues returning stuff to Summit. The other company, I didn't know anything about. So let me show you. So I got a black boot with a stainless bezel or trim ring or whatever. I got chrome handle, and then this is the cable kit. This is floor mounted. I'm going to stick the seat in here. I'm going to kind of and get me an idea where
I can put this thing, you can get to it easy. She wants a console in the middle, but you can see here's bolt holes, you know, the inner bolt holes for the seat, or the bolts rather. So it's not a whole lot of console. So, but it's, you know, it's enough to build something or have something built. Not my area of skill. There's your cable guides, your block, your adapter, and then obviously the cables and all that fun stuff. Hopefully there's some directions or some suggestions or whatnot in there. But yep, that's today's task. Get that done. And while I'm under there, I still haven't knocked out the wiring from the fuse box back to the tail lights. It doesn't have a tag light. Looked at that yesterday. Need to come up with something for that. Doesn't have to have one, but why not? You know, nice LED tag light actually, to me, looks really good. So I need to pull the wheels, pull the cables, and I need to pull the wheels anyway so I can actually properly adjust these rear brakes up and see if I can get that brake pedal feeling a little bit better. So I'll on this e-brake, I'll do you know, for the most part, step by step, since it's actually something kind of interesting and could be something helpful for you. So let me get situated, and we'll get back to you. All right, before I get too far into this, because Lord knows I will do that, I got all the directions laid out here. To start off, you know, you need to make sure that you find a location. This dimple right here happens to be a hole in the floor, but lines up directly above the drive shaft. So I pushed up on that just as a locator. But you need to make sure that where you kind of want it, you're going to be able to put it, because some of this e-brake hangs below the floor. All right, so it says here, find your location. You know, obviously the obvious stuff: disconnect battery, put it on blocks or jack stand. Don't use blocks. Chalk to wheels, jack stands, all the safety stuff. Don't die is what it's saying. And if you do, they're not responsible. So find your location, make sure you're good underneath, more in line as possible with the rear. That way your splitter can be more even, the better. In my case, in this case, there's going to be a console going in between here, and I can't center it, so I need to push it that way as much as I can. And it seems like this is about the best out of the way, not in the console way, location that I could find. And I know for sure that we should be okay as far as what's underneath the floor here. So you want to start, you mark your spot. It says a 1/2 inch wide by 3 inches long. And it says a good way to do it is take a 1/2 inch drill, pop a hole here and here, connect the dots. And then from there, you start your bolting procedure. If you have room, these go underneath the floor. I've watched a couple of videos. There's not a lot of YouTube videos on this, so this may be a good one. Some folks actually didn't have enough room, so they popped a second hole in this little L bracket and moved the assembly down, and then put these on top of the floor, like it, you know, kind of like it's looking there. I will try to drop it through the floor. It shouldn't be a problem because I've been under there and I've looked. We're going to mark that. I'm going to get it as square as possible. Probably pull that seat back out so I can get in there and work, since it's closer to that side. And like I said, we have to pull the wheels, pull the old cables and all that. So I need to go get the jack and put this thing on jack stands, because it's currently on these wheel blocks or stands or whatever you want to call it. Let me do that, and we'll get ready and cut a hole in this floor. All right, so 3 inches on center is what it's saying to drill the holes. So, and then I'm just going to connect the dots, and that gives you a nice little radius, you know what I mean, that you don't have to worry about trying to cut out too. So it's pretty nice. Got the wheels off. I'm gonna have to disassemble the rear brakes, which, you know, is part of that whole put it together, take it apart, build on everything. So I'm gonna get this hole sliced, and also these L brackets in the drawing or the back side of these instructions, it suggests the brackets get flipped. That way this thing is sunk into the hole a little more. I believe that's optional. My concern is how close it'll be to this, but we'll try it. We'll try it per the picture here, the diagram. If it doesn't work, we'll flip it around. So let's get this hole cut. I'll just roll this sound deadening on over the edge there. All right, I need to pull this clevis off, I believe. Yeah, so I'll put the clevis on underneath. I don't know why they installed that thing, because that's much wider than a 1/2 inch. So all right, so we'll put that right there where we can't find it later, along with the pin, the washer, and the actual doohickey. So I'll flip these around and we'll see how we look as far as clearance underneath, because that will determine a whole lot of that. It just depends on what we're working with, but we'll try really hard to install it like they say. So let me get this pulled apart and pop some holes in the floor and hope for the best. All right, so I've got it mounted the way they had it. I kind of come into a little bit of, like, it would work, but it'd be nice to be able to get your hand under it if you did set it all the way back down, or, you know, let me just show you. So right here would be fine, but it actually does go all the way to the floor. If you set it right here, and I guess if you adjusted it, I mean, you could probably get it to adjust more, but honestly, I think I'm going to take it back apart and bolt it in on the top side, and let's see how that looks. And what really a little bit kind of concerns me is making sure the boot will cover everything it needs to cover. And you know, it won't actually cover those brackets, the L brackets. So that's a little bit of a problem. Now I did run into a little clearance issue right here, because you know, if you remember from the seat plate video, there's a like a 3x3 plate under here that I've got a weld nut in, so the seats would mount to, and this L bracket actually is sitting on top of it. So that's only about 1/8 of an inch, and I've got it notched where I can cut it out of there and try it. If I can get the e-brake to work a couple clicks up, from right here would be fine. I wish there was a stop. Like, I wish I had adjustable stops that you could put in there and work it that way, but I guess one of those things is trial and error. So I'm going to notch that piece and then remount it and see what it looks like there. All right, I think I'm gonna leave the brackets on the bottom. I did re-drill the front ones, added another hole in it, and it slightly brought the front of the shifter up, the e-brake up some, but I think it's just it is what it is. I'll just set the adjustment where it starts right there. Show you what it looks like under here. So you can see the old hole right here. I drilled another one above it. I need to cut this bolt off. But and then I notched around this seat plate. So now I guess we'll start with the e-brake cables. I'm gonna pull this drum assembly apart and start on this side, and we'll see what we can get done. All right, let me get you caught up where we're at. Let's see, I'm gonna leave park brake just like it is for now, unless something later causes me a problem. All right, so I got the clevis and the cable holder hanging here. I got your cable adjusters on. Oh, I forgot to I got the cables in. There's that light, I couldn't find it. Where is that? I got the cables in. It's a 5/8 nut, and on the back side, probably can't see it because it's dark, but 5/8 hex on that cable. Just tighten those up, and then I've already had this break apart. I may have to pull it back apart again to get the spring in this deal on here. But your factory cables, it's like a claw that comes through that hole there, and it kind of holds it in, so you got to push down the 3 little high spots and it'll come out of there. But next up, we'll take this cable and get an idea where I want to cut it, and I'll mark it with blue painter's tape, and we'll cut it. And make sure that your actual cable is not inside this piece here when you cut it, or you will be buying new cables. And I'm going to make it long enough to where I can do some sort of bracket off that bed rail right there to keep it up, and especially from this passenger side, because the passenger side will have to cross the drive shaft. So somewhere about midway there, I'm gonna hang one of those larger rubber insulated clamps just to keep the cable up. But I can't do this with the camera in my hand, but I'm gonna mark this thing, figure out where we want it, and then just take the Ziz wheel and Ziz wheel through it. Run the cable through the adjuster. Since you can get it all the way through. Tighten it down, make sure everything's adjusted right, then cut your cable. Don't cut it beforehand, or you may be, yet again, buying new cables. So let me get this marked and get ready to cut one, and I'll show you how I do it, and hopefully I do it right. All right, so got these little insulated clamps hung up here, plenty of slack in the line. Same way if over there, I just take a screwdriver in them and kind of bend them around a little bit. That way they kind of just naturally flow, you know what I'm saying? No kinks, whatever. And I got my cable marked for the passenger side, and then I just realized I forgot to do something. When you put that mark on there, make sure that ferrule is on the other side of the tape. That way you ain't got to worry about trying to slide it across that stuff you cut. So on this passenger side, when I need to untape it and slide the ferrule back, you can see it right there. Hang you under here somewhere, and we'll see if we can cut these lines and put them together, and I'm gonna wrap this one up. All right, I got the cables pulled through right here. I'm gonna go back out here and hook up that cable to the e-brake. And then we'll come back under here, start pulling them through the block and trying to get everything adjusted. All right, so got everything for the most part adjusted. Have not trimmed the cables yet. The e-brake, so I mean, it's gonna have to sit like that. That's as far up as it goes. I mean, if you're sitting in the seat, you get more leverage, you know. But I can't spin the drum, so let me slide under here and show you where we're at. All right, so, and this is very little adjustment right here. So there's plenty of adjustment to go, as you can see. I'll go in here and cut these cables off about right here and here, snug this thing back up. I got to put the pin, the cotter pin and washer in that clevis right there. So to cut these, I'll do that right quick. Very pleased with the Lokar shifter. I mean, keep calling it a shifter because everybody buys their shifters. With the Lokar e-brake, so it's a pretty good purchase. Also need to tighten up this lock nut right here. That one's welded to the shaft. That's part of the non-adjustable piece, but got a good bit done. HVAC's done. What else? Let's go look at the list. Guess I'll knock out rear wiring now. Bed spacers, I'm just going to align those. I'm not going to make new ones. Running board mounts, got to wait on the fender. Fender welting, I have a couple questions about that. That may wait. Doors and windows, this is kind of eyeballed to toe in. I set it with a tape measure. Need to do it with a string. I might have talked about that already. E-brake and cable mounts, mark it off the list. Shifter, put the seat back in to look at that. Waiting on parts for the drain. Need to get parts for the wipers. Bolt the front end back together. Real close to driving it. So the next video, if there is a next one before I drive it, will just be a run through it, tell you where we're at, what I've done, and how far we are away. Hopefully that will include a driving video, and I may just hold out until we do see it driving and on the ground and rolling around on its own. So thanks for watching Left for Dead Garage. I still have some merch left. If you're interested, shoot me a message. I will post a picture of the shirts here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.